Hi, I'm Sean Mulligan. Welcome to the Havasu Pocket Cruisers Convention and welcome to Lake Havasu. We're going to get you through the registration process real quick here, but we're going to take just a few moments to run you through a few key pointers that we think will help you have a safer and more fun time while you're here with us in Havasu. So let's get started. Leaving the marina now and heading down onto the lake, and you'll notice the first thing, I got the old life jacket on. Life jackets are a personal preference for everything except for the racing at the HPCC, but we strongly suggest you wear them. A lot of you are from the cold country down here enjoying our warmer temperatures. Oh, make no mistake, that water's cold, 50, 52 degrees. We're going to go into a little video here to explain about cold water immersion. It's called Cold Water Boot Camp, and I'm hoping you'll take a quick look at it and just consider the ramifications of taking an unexpected dunk into the water. We strongly suggest life jackets all the time at the HPCC.
9 volunteers came to dispel the myth and put the statistics to the test at Cold Water Boot Camp, where Dr. Gordon Giesbrecht, aka Professor Popsicle, gave them all a dose of reality of what really happens and what to do if you find yourself in cold water.
So the first thing that happens is gasping. And then hyperventilation. So you have the and then you have rapid breathing after that. And so those effects last 30 seconds, maybe a minute for some people. But what's important is keep your head above water as much as you can, because if you gasp when your head's underwater, you actually can inhale more than 1 liter of water in the first gasp. And if you do that, then you'll drown. Okay. Do not panic. The psychological stress can actually feed the hyperventilation, so you just breathe uncontrollably, indefinitely. You can actually faint if you hyperventilate enough. And of course, if you're out there with a life jacket on, fainting means that you'll die. The cardiac effect, when you jump into cold water, you might increase blood pressure and heart rate, and increasing the stress can cause cardiac arrest. This really only happens if in people who have underlying heart disease.
We're in the Bridgewater Channel now, headed for the bridge. You'll notice that the sides of the channel are fairly narrow. You can sail through the channel, but we prefer that you limit your sailing to straight downwind and not work your way upwind through the channel. We know you guys are good enough to do it and to short tack all the way, but it gets really crowded with 100, 150, 200 boats in here and somebody deciding to zigzag all the way up and through. So please, try to limit the sailing in the channel to downwind only. You'll notice the narrow sides of the channel, and there's plenty of depth in the channel, even for the keel boats. The deeper boats need to stay more towards the center, but the one place you want to avoid is the insides of the corners. If you're making a left or right hand turn, stay towards the center, don't shift into the inside of the turn, you'll be just fine. You can sail under the London Bridge. In fact, we hope you do. The one thing you have to keep in mind is clearance. So what we're telling you is this: if you have 34 feet of mast clearance above the water or less, you can go under the bridge. And I'm going to show you right now. I have about 35. We're going right under here, no problem whatsoever. It can get a little bit squirrely inside, and we only want you to do this going downwind. Piece of cake, no problem. There is a large ferry boat that comes and goes from the California side to the north side of the bridge. He's a big guy, takes up a lot of room. He'll do his best to give you as much room as possible, but we ask that you be very considerate. He is limited in what he can do, and when you see him coming, give him some room to maneuver. You are allowed to moor in the channel, and you'll see the seawall has tie-offs where you can tie off if you like. That includes the seawall up by the bridge area. The only thing you cannot do is you cannot spend the night there. It is no overnight mooring, day use only. The slip holders at the London Bridge Resort obviously are allowed to keep their boats there, but those are assigned slips. Watch the jibe. Vessel assist is available on the lake. You can reach them on channel 16 from pretty much anywhere. Just put out a call for vessel assist if you need them. If you're a member, their services are free. There is a charge for their services if you're not a member. One of the things we really want you to do while you're sailing is watch the shoreline. You really need to look at the contour of the points of Lake Havasu. Some shallow spots are marked and some are not. But a good example is right here off of Rotary Beach. You can see how shallow of an angle that beach comes out into the water, and just project that in your mind and you can even see the coloration of how far out that shallow water is. So when you see a shallow point coming down like that, give it a wide berth, 100, 150 feet offshore minimum, and really look at the watercolor and look for those shallow spots. A lot of the Arizona side shallow spots are marked with some buoys, and we'll show you those in a minute, but the California side is largely unmarked, so pay close attention. One thing we want to mention to you guys, especially those that are staying at the Nautical Inn. The Nautical Inn's docks are exposed to the south. There's a long fetch coming up from the south, and if we get a strong south breeze, eventually a swell will develop and start impacting those docks. It can impact them pretty severely and enough to damage your boat. We don't recommend leaving your boat overnight at those docks when you won't be able to keep an eye on it, and we don't recommend leaving your boat there unattended in a south breeze where you can't keep an eye on it. So just use caution there. The docks are fine as long as you pay attention. All of Thompson Bay is a no-wake zone, and it's defined by a line of buoys that starts at the point at the Nautical Inn and goes all the way across to the tail end of Rotary Beach on the south side. You can see the no-wake buoys right here. They're white with an orange stripe and a circle on them that reads no wake. We're going to talk about a few specific landmarks that you want to be aware of because of shallow water. One of them is right behind me here, and it's the south point off the end of the Nautical Inn. You can see, like we discussed at the Rotary Beach, it's a very shallow angle coming into the water, and that shallowness comes out quite a ways off of that point. I generally tell people, when you come around that point, come at least halfway out to the first buoy and you'll be fine. Don't cut it too close. We're sailing right now along Grass Island on the California side. Grass Island's a known shallow spot we want you to be aware of. It's marked with obstruction buoys just offshore, and if you go inside of those buoys, you're surely going to run aground. But the shallow water extends even beyond those buoys a bit. The distance that you see me sailing right now off of Grass Island is the distance that I'm comfortable with, knowing that I have enough depth. You want to be extra careful down here at the lighthouse end. You'll see the obstruction buoy is far off the shoreline of the lighthouse, indicating that the shallow water extends pretty far out right there. This is Contact Point behind me. That's the official place where all the sheriffs and fire boats are kept, and that's where they would respond if you had an emergency. The cove is not for public use, but it is there, and in an emergency you can go in there. There are docks and there is a boat ramp there. It'd be a place to tell somebody you were going to get help if you needed some. This is a great example of an obstruction buoy right here. Black and white vertical stripes, and it's telling me that if I go inside of that buoy, between the buoy and the nearest point of land, I'm probably going to run aground. As you can see, this island, it's very shallow. You can probably see the color of the water, and I need to give it a wide berth. One of the things unique about Havasu is we have a wide range of wind and a wide range of wind directions as a front passes. You can start out with a morning that's almost dead calm and end up in a beautiful afternoon like this where it's blowing 15 or better. keep an eye on the breezes and set yourself up accordingly. Hopefully you have the ability to reef if need be, and if not, just be smart and find yourself some shelter if the wind comes up more than you're used to. There's lots of coves you can duck into, and you can also go to the leeward side of the island, either the north basin or the south basin, and sail in less wind than on the windward side. You can really kind of tailor the wind to the type of sailing that you want to do by choosing where you're sailing. One thing I want to tell you is that we've told you about some of the shallow spots on the lake that everybody knows about and we use a lot of caution around. I'm not telling you that that's every spot that's out there. Even I haven't been to every spot of this lake. We do have a map available that was asked for last year. It's a fishing map and it's probably the best map of the lake that there is. There's two reasons this is good. One is it has bottom contours in it and will give you a good idea of what kind of depths you're in. The second reason is that it has the entire lake mapped with appropriate names for the different coves and landmarks. The reason I want to emphasize that is because should you need any assistance, or even if you're just trying to express to a buddy where you're at, if you're both talking and using the same names and landmarks, you're going to make sense to one another. If you're just trying to describe the lake and what it looks like to a 911 operator or to somebody that's not able to see what you're seeing and you're not using the appropriate names and landmarks, it's very difficult to do. So consider getting one of these maps. We'll have them up at the registration desk for you. They're available to purchase if you'd like one. One thing we want to touch on real quick. In the off chance that anybody has a medical emergency on the water, we want you to dial 911 to get help. The 911 operator will ask you where you are. Tell them you're on Lake Havasu, give them the appropriate landmarks, and that you want to speak with the Lake Havasu City Fire Department dispatcher to have their fire boat dispatched to your location. They will send an engine company to contact point and get on a boat and come to you or meet you en route. The only way you can access those services is 911. On behalf of everybody that's helped put this event on, myself, Mary Jo, and all the folks that volunteered to do all the work to bring you to Lake Havasu, I want to wish you the best time possible. If there's anything we can do during your stay here to make this a more enjoyable event, please don't hesitate to let us know. That's it. Go on out to the registration desk. Your bag should be waiting for you. It's time to go on vacation. Welcome to Havasu.